Howdy, 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 back at it again. This video going to focus on Oki setups and timings that beat your opponent fishing for perfect parry by doing it on a reversal timing on wake up, right? So stuff like this. This setup where you whiff stand jab, charge back heavy punch, boom, it doesn't get perfect parried, and it also will not lose to mashed jab, right? Because it hits on the third frame of their wake up. So really I'm just trying to find other things that hit on the third frame of wake up. So for example, on this setup, we're plus 31. I would want to hit on frame 34, okay? So I don't know if anybody knows this, how common knowledge this is, but when we do drive rush into a move, it adds 11 frames of startup to that move. So if I had a move that was 23 frame startup, for example, I could do drive rush, do the move, and it would hit on frame 34. I do have a move that hits in frame 23, it's charge sweep. Now, obviously this isn't good Oki, but just is kind of proof of concept. Oh my goodness, quarter circle back. See how that didn't get perfect parried, hits on the third frame wake up. And it also still beats his wake up jab because it hits on the third frame wake up. So I need something that hits at that timing. Now, I don't think there are any good frame kills or auto-timed things for this knockdown, so I think you have to do a manual timed move. Now, for me, that manually timed move is crouch medium punch. I don't like to do it just randomly, though. It's not like, oh, I just hope I timed it right. I have a visual cue, and that visual cue is once she takes that big step and her foot hits the ground, that's when I push the button, okay? So big step, foot hits the ground, push the button. Big step, foot hits the ground, push the button. Oh my goodness. My controller is just not great. But you see I hit this more often than not. At the end of the day, it still is manually timed, so you are liable to fail it. But that timing, I think, is very effective. Okay, so you see, I'm pretty good at it. I'll get better if I practice more. I do want to talk about the timing and like the number of frames that adds though, because I think it's important. So I took an 8-frame move and made it hit on frame 34. So I essentially added 26 frames to the startup. So doing this timing on drive rush adds 26 frames to the startup of moves. So that gives me another tool to build these knockdowns. So next knockdown, I'm gonna look at these at the same time, which is medium punch slam and any version of Gladius, all plus 36. So that means the timing is going to be the exact same. So frame kill stuff, I like forward dash here. Puts me at plus 14. Remember, we need to hit on the 17th frame. Drive rush adds 11 frames. So if I do 17 minus 11, I get 6. So that means that if I do drive rush into a 6-frame move, it should hit on the third frame wake up and not get perfect parried. And lo and behold, it does. Now, this is not like the medium punch situation on block, so I'll go over that real quick. The reason I want to do this is because you can force a throw, and if they try to walk back out of it, you can punish it. That's not really the case with this. It's more like stand medium kick, where you can't really punish walk back. But at the end of the day, we're still in their face, and we could do the target combo as well to try to force, whoops, wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. Right, we can do this just to kind of stay safe and keep out, and then if they're blocking, they lose like a half a bar of drive gauge. So it's decent, and obviously it's still going to be mashing. Now, if you're doing the same visual cue right off of this as what we did with this, where it's big step and hit crouch medium punch, notice we would want to hit on frame 39, right? 3 frames after they wake up. So you'd want to hit on frame 39. So you subtract 26 from that, and you're like, okay, if we had a 13-frame move, we could use the same visual cue and hit on the third frame wake up. We don't have a 13-frame move. We have a 14-frame move, which means that if we did this at the same timing, big step, foot hits the ground. That was a little early. I didn't do it at the exact same timing. But if we did this at the same timing, we should trade. But of course, it's a little hard because sometimes you'll accidentally hold the button down, and that's what's happening there. right? Right, so like there, you see I'm hitting towards heavy kick, but I'm hitting it too late, and I'm like kind of holding it down a little bit. So it's why this isn't necessarily the best thing to go for, which is why I like the frame kill setup. There I did it perfectly, and by perfectly, I mean at the same timing that I have to do this on the light punch slam knockdown. So it hits on frame 40, which means we trade. Okay, off of some other knockdowns, obviously you can just set up your safe jump, right? You're not punishable if they perfect parry it, right? Should only be -3. And then of course, if you think they're fishing for perfect parry, you know, you can just sort of empty jump it. And boom, you know, they eat a bunch of damage for it. So I'm going to talk about other follow-ups from this. So this is +37 if you do it perfectly, which you should know is one more frame than this. Okay, which means if we hit on frame, we want to hit on frame 40 off of this knockdown, which means if we do this visual cue, we should hit on the 3rd frame of wake up if we time it correctly. Okay. Boom. Now, I'm not that great at it with towards heavy kick for whatever reason. With crouch medium punch, it feels a lot more natural. I don't know if that's a me issue or a game issue or a controller issue or what. Maybe it's because I have it mapped to the squishy trigger on the DualSense. I have no idea. But for whatever reason, I find that a little harder. So for me, I would rather do something like this, which is always going to hit on the 3rd frame of wake up. Now, the problem with doing medium punch there, whoops, I'm not doing the right combo. Problem with doing medium punch here is that if they jump for whatever reason, you'd have to convert into that, which is only 2,000 damage. Okay, so what I think I'd rather do, to be honest with you, is I would just rather be okay with trading and do back heavy punch, because we're going to be able to combo off the trade like all the time. And it really depends, you know, what normally we trade with, obviously what we get, but I think that's going to be better for us in the long run, because you can do something like this, and like that's an extra 1,700 damage over the other combo I just did. It's still not going to get perfect parried, and then if they try to jump for whatever reason, like, you know, they think you're gonna command grab them or whatever, we can combo into this, which again is like 1,000 more damage, and that wasn't even optimal. So I think I would prefer to do that if you're gonna go for something that's auto timed there. Other extensions I'll see people do, or other enders, is drive rush back heavy punch into into medium kick quadriga. So here, auto timed, we just do forward dash and then drive rush medium kick instantly, like that. See, it hits on the 3rd frame wake up, which means it will not get perfect parried. Boom, doesn't get perfect parried. It'll still beat mashing. Right, still beat mashing, can convert into whatever. And again, this also is good against like neutral jump. Right, into whatever. So now the only issue with this is same thing as always when they block medium kick, except you're actually a little further away. So you're actually not even in range to throw them off of this setup. Let me show that. It's because you're a little too far away. You're not really in range to throw them. So there's really not much mix you can push, but you're still close to them. You know, you can still do like jab TC or whatever, or, you know, jab TC into drive rush or whatever if you want to try to exert some pressure. Otherwise, at the very least, you don't have to work your way back in. You're just right next to them and you can, you know, play from there. Other extenders you'll see people go for, any of these Superman punches. So that's +42. Medium punch is +44. And light punch Superman punch is +45. Okay, so I'm going to talk about these in the order I just showed them. So heavy Superman punch. There really isn't anything good that is a frame kill or auto time. So for example, we can do forward dash into stand heavy punch, and that beats perfect parry and mashing, but it gets bopped by DI. Right, punish counter. So I don't really like that much. Off of medium Superman punch for a frame kill option, you just do forward dash and then immediate drive rush towards heavy kick, and that'll always hit on the third frame of wake up. What's good about drive rush towards heavy kick is a couple things. So let me just have him do something on block reversal. So if we do light punch, Superman punch, it's a true block string. If we do medium punch, Superman punch, it counter hits, right? It's a really small gap. If we do any form of Gladius, it's a block string, as long as we, do it soon enough. So it's not that big of a deal. Off of light punch, Superman punch, I feel like there really isn't anything good that beats drive parry. Not to say there aren't good knockdowns, because there are. Like if we do forward dash, like that hits second frame stand heavy punch, but it hits the first frame of their wake up, so you'll get parried. But it's a good knockdown. I think if you like this knockdown a lot and you're getting perfect parried, going for it, that's where I think doing medium punch into that is good, right? Because they're probably not going to notice that you did medium punch Superman punch instead of light punch Superman punch, and this won't get perfect parried, right? So I think that there is definitely some validity to doing that. In terms of manually time things off of these, if you're gonna manually time anything, I think doing heavy and then doing the same visual cue that we've been talking about for this is what you want to do. If you do that visual cue perfectly where foot comes down, you should trade with four framers, which again, you can convert off of. Okay, so the point of this video was really just, hey, let's get you listening. Let's get you thinking about, hey, are there some options here that'll beat perfect parry, right? Are there some things I can do to get my opponent to maybe want to delay their parry, right? Because if they delay their parry, like by a frame, because they're like, oh, well, I'll fix you, right? If they just delay it a little bit, all of a sudden, all of a sudden they're blocking our regular setups. Right, all of a sudden they're blocking the regular stuff if they wanted to try to delay the parry. So just sort of get you to think maybe how to make your opponents think about the options they're picking, maybe give you some other Oki ideas that are, maybe not as strong as the normal stuff, but a little safer to people mashing on medium punch, medium kick. Well, hopefully it was helpful. As always, have a good time.